Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimrandasya Gyanandana Salakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes. Special welcome to Mahaprabhu and Shukakanya, who was here many years ago. Did you ever come to this temple? I mean, you were living in Denmark in this also at that time, or we were in Bavneholm, or you left before, or?
It was open already when we left.
Okay.
We came a few times here.
Yeah, in between, visiting, yes. So Mahaprabhu and his wife, Shukakanya Mataji, they were, at that time we had a temple in Hillerød. Huh? Hillerød, yeah. Which was 40 kilometers outside of Copenhagen. So we, in 96, was it? 95, 6? Around that time, yes. We opened a preaching center in Nørrebro. In Blågårds Gade. Tough place to open a preaching center. That's where all the gangs hang out, or at least one of them, yes? So we had our troubles with them. How many times they smashed the windows? 7 times or something, yes? At least, until the...
Trying even cocktails.
Molotov cocktails.
Yeah.
My God. So we had our fun. That was intense, yeah. And yeah, so that was, you were running that center, yes, for 3-4 years, something like that. Huh? And I remember the neighbor, or how do you say, the person who lives on top, when we had kirtan, I remember one time he was making more noise than we were, because he was so opposed to what we were doing. And then we just became more infuriated and chanted. Huh? Oh, that's when he came down? Yes. And he... So then we moved here. So this is a nice peaceful area, and they're car mechanics, and they only work on normal weekdays and not on Sundays. And the neighbor in there, they moved in after us. And there's an electrician there, so they don't care. They know what they know what they walked into, yes? Okay, so I hope you will understand anything, and not like me. First time I walked into a temple in Colorado, I didn't understand anything. But 2 things I took away from there, and that was prasadam and, yeah, I don't remember actually, but I understood something else also, and that was that the Prabhu who was there speaking, it was just a friend whom I was traveling with, and myself, we came to this center. It was in Colorado. It was a temple, actually, Boulder, Colorado, small temple. And we were the only 2 ones. It was a college place, college town, Boulder. And so we were the only ones who were there. So we got a lot of attention. So I have to kind of share with everyone. But what I took away from there was that he was convinced about what he was what he was speaking from Bhagavad-gītā. I have no clue what he was speaking about. But he was very convinced. And that I took away with me, because I thought it was very interesting for the first time in my life, to actually hear from a person who actually believed in what he said and that he was standing for it. So that was a very nice experience. Today, I picked a verse from 4th chapter, which is in a section, it's in a chapter called Transcendental Knowledge. And this verse is, the chapter is called Transcendental Knowledge because this is in the 5th verse where Krishna, he says, Ajopisan Avyayatma, that he's unborn, that Krishna, he doesn't take birth. So this is the beginning where Krishna, he is for the first time in the Bhagavad-gītā, he speaks about himself. And because of these 10 verses that are there in the beginning, this chapter is called Transcendental Knowledge. Because anything that has some relationship with Krishna, that is transcendental. And it's an interesting verse, so I'll just read the verse and the purport. Sanskrit, you can all see, we don't understand anyway, so. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Prita. Purport. By His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence and as the all-pervading supersoul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as a supreme master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocation of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal, blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality. Some of them who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence return to this material field to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They are not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they're again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruitive workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties as the Yagyeshvara. And those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy only. And all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless, therefore, one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect as is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yachetam purusham param. Whether one is without desire, the condition of the devotees, or is desirous, actually it says, whether one is without desire, and that is the condition of the devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive results, like the materialists, or is after liberation, like the yogis and the impersonalists, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. Ye yatamam prapajyante tangs tataiva bhajamyaham mama vart manuvartante manusha partha sarvashaha. So Krishna, he is, later on in the Bhagavad-gītā, he says, what does he say? 10:8. Aham sarvasha prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Welcome. Maybe everyone, or someone at least, can move a little forward so people that are coming in during the lecture will not have to stand up but can sit down. So actually, the verse says that everything emanates from Krishna. He's saying that everything emanates from him, the entire universe. He's the source of everything in this material world. He's the source of everything. And that a person who perfectly knows this about him can, better get it right, there it was. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So actually, we look at the Vedas, we look at the Bible, we look at the Quran, and we can exclude any other book. And nowhere in any other scripture is God directly speaking. Bhagavad-gītā is the text where God, he is alone speaking the majority of the text. And here he says that the entire creation comes from him. He's the source of everything. So that puts him in a situation, that puts him in a position where he can also say that we should surrender to him. That would be reasonable. That I surrender. I'll read you something from Prabhupada. It's a purport from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 8th chapter, text 46. He says, this is, it might be a part of the purport, I don't remember, but he says, everyone has to surrender to someone superior. That is always the nature of our living condition. At the present moment, we are trying to surrender to someone, either to society or to our nation, family, state, or government. The surrendering process already exists, but it is never perfect because the person or institution unto whom we surrender is imperfect. And our surrender, having so many ulterior motives, is also imperfect. As such, in the material world, no one is worthy to accept anyone's surrender, nor does anyone fully surrender to anyone else unless obliged to do so. But here the surrendering process, now Prabhupada is referring to the process of devotional service. This process is voluntary, and the Lord is worthy to accept the surrender. This surrender by the living entity occurs automatically as soon as he sees the beautiful, youthful nature of the Lord. So, very clearly stated like that there is a good reason. Anything we might achieve by surrendering in the material world, it is temporary. But in the process of devotional service, any endeavor is actually, it has an eternal effect. So speaking of making a good investment in our life, yes, like I joined when I was very young. It seems like years and years, even lifetimes ago. But when you're here, Mahaprabhu, then it seems you spoke also the other day when we met yesterday. You said so. We were engaged in book distribution, and we collected Lakshmi at that time. So we were going out on the street every day. It didn't matter whether it was scorching hot, or it was raining, or it was ice cold. But I can understand that looking into myself and seeing what I have achieved outside of what I've done in devotional service, then I don't deserve very much, practically speaking. Honestly, I don't deserve a lot. But Krishna, he was so kind. The spiritual master, he opens our eyes with the torch of knowledge, and then you get perspective. You see something else. And Krishna, he says in Bhagavad-gītā, Raja Vija, Raja Guyam, Bhavitram idam utamam, prachakshavargamam dharmyam, susukam kartam avyayam. That this knowledge is the king of education. It is the most secret of all secrets. It's not like a secret that has to be kept, but it's a secret because everyone else, or everyone in the material world, they don't seem to understand. Due to the workings of the material nature, they don't understand that they're spirit soul. People there is quite ignorant about spiritual life. We can walk down the walking street and chant Hare Krishna, and we may get some good feedback, but mostly people, they are ignorant. And you might even now and then find a person who has not even heard about Krishna. Has it, happened to you? You met a person who didn't know about Krishna. Then Morten here, he works in a place where they take care of such people. But the whole material world is actually a madhouse. So we shouldn't be surprised. Actually, religion, science has been hijacked. It's Kali Yuga. It's the age of degradation. But these, you can say, institutions of science, which is religion and philosophy, science, has been hijacked by atheists. So people there fed all kinds of nonsense. It's just what is daytime is actually nighttime, what is nighttime is daytime. So that is the That is our challenge. It's our challenge. There's impersonalism going around. I remember once in those days, once I went into, it might have been later, and once I went into a church, it was actually the cathedral in Aarhus. And I went there with the purpose. I had Lalitana's book. It was like, speaking against Darwinism, bringing out all the good, reasons, or bringing out all the, you can say, seeing the cover up, or understanding all the flaws in Darwinism. And so I presented. The priest was there. I went to her, and I said to her what I thought would be, obvious to say, is that, this is a very nice book. Please, buy this book, because by reading this book, you can remove all your doubts about, Darwinism, that, God has actually created everything. And to my amazement, she said that doubt was the foundation in her Christian belief. And she was, sometimes I was pretty fast, in my response to people, but she left me completely speechless, because I couldn't understand how stupid that was. I thought maybe is there something deeper to this but it was so stupid for a priest to say. It's scary. But that's what we're up against. This is it's Kali Yuga. It's just plain out stupidity. And that's why we have to, we are fortunate. Krishna, he says that he descends in every yuga to establish religion again. And we're so fortunate that we have come in contact. We were not born, at least I was not born in India. So, but seeing how many here is from Denmark, it's not the majority. Hands in the air if you're from Denmark. I know 1, 2, 3, Yeah, you're half Faroese, or you're half Faroese, half Danish, yes?
No, Faroese, half American.
Oh, but that leaves you in a much better, in Faroe Islands, every street corner, there is a mission, like in America also. They have so many churches there. I think there's 30 different churches, isn't that? In the Faroe Islands. It's such a small place. Inhabitants, 25,000 live there? Something like 50,000, okay. But they have a church in every street corner, so you can't go anywhere. You're reminded, yes. But here in Vandløse, you will find the Hare Krishna temple. And if we're so fortunate, doesn't matter where we're born, that we can come here, then we can read in Bhagavad-gītā, which is very amazing when we think about it, because there is no other text in the world where we get such precise information. And God presents himself like this in this wonderful chapter. He also says in 15th chapter, he says he's in the heart of all living entities. Sarvasya cham riti sani visto. And Krishna, he descends in every millennium. So in this millennium, Krishna, he has come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is directly Krishna. And Krishna, whom we worship, was not the Yuga avatar of Dwapara Yuga, because the Yuga avatar, he appears to teach the inhabitants. So he appears in the beginning of the yuga. It doesn't make sense if you're a teacher, you come at the end of the class. Huh? Doesn't. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught us this process of surrender, which in Kali Yuga includes chanting Hare Krishna. It is, I'm sorry, I will have to read the translation, because as when I came to the temple the first time, my remembrance and all this was not so clear. Still it's like that. But I hope the heart is in the right place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, first verse in the, of course we know the Sanskrit, Chetudar Panamarjanam Bhava Maha Davakni Nirvapanam Streya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vichavaru Jivanam Anandam Budivardhanam Pratipadam Purnam Ritas Vardhanam Sarvatma Snapanam Parang Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. I'll read you the translation. All glories to Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. So, as I understood in the temple first time I came, I wasn't so clear. It is Kali Yuga after all. This nice Prabhu, he was speaking to me for 45 minutes. And I got a book also, a Prabhupada Lilamrita. And don't remember if I read that, but I definitely I read later on Prabhupada Lilamrita. But the process of devotional service, the surrender, which is Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Parasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasham, Sakyam Atmanivedanam, starts with hearing and then Kirtanam. So Krishna Sankirtanam, it is not that it's necessarily that we're chanting, but it starts with the chanting. But it's also that we hear about Krishna, we read about Krishna in the Bhagavad-gītā, in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is because there the science of devotional service is revealed. And the science is not just to know a lot of verses, but the science is to purify the heart. Like in the verse that we already, Raja Vija Raja Kuryam Pavitram Itamutamam Prachak Savargamam Dharmyam. That the self is realized by knowledge when we practice devotional service. And when we understand that we're not just this body, by engaging in devotional service. When I met the devotees, it was in New Zealand. At the same time, it was a little mysterious, but of course, mysterious to a person who does not understand how personal Krishna is. He's Krishna, he's in the heart of everyone. He's a person. And he bothers about each and every soul in this material universe. Not just human beings, also animals, even worms in stool, bacteria. He's present. I don't know if they have a heart, but they have, figuratively speaking, they have a heart. In their body's heart, or whatever, they have something. And there Krishna, he is residing as the Paramatma. And Krishna, he cares about everyone so much that he doesn't turn away from our nefarious activities, stupid things. But he remains. And I was thinking that now every one of you is very nicely looking at me, but if I was in a room with someone who kept ignoring me, it wouldn't take me a long time to just give it up and go somewhere else. And but Krishna, he is not such a person. He stays. He is swarat. He is independent. He doesn't need anything, but he wants our attention. He wants our love. That's the only thing he doesn't have. He has everything else, but he doesn't have our love. So that is why missed that. So when we cleanse the heart, when it says here, well, it says prachakshavargamam dharmyam, that by following dharma, then we get an understanding of the self by realization. So that means dharma, the process of dharma, is actually to first come to the mode of goodness out of passion and ignorance. And then from there, when we're in the mode of goodness, then we become a little more clear than I was when I came to the temple first time. Luckily, there's a small progression. I noticed a small progression in 30 years. That at least proves to me that the process, it works. So the chanting, the associating with devotees, it should cleanse our heart, because in our heart we have so many material desires, and the nature of the soul is to have enjoyment. We want to enjoy. Everyone can relate to that. I actually remember so many times that I was in the temple, and then after being in the temple, what would I do? I would go back and space out. I don't know if I'm the only one who had that experience, but so that's, not so good, because it's like the bathing of the elephant, yes? He jumps into the river and he's all swimming around and he's so clean, and what does he do? He comes out and he rolls in the dirt, and for some reason, I don't know why, but and that is our, that's our fruitive, we're fruitive workers, we want some enjoyment, But devotional service will gradually purify us, and it will bring us to a point where we can go on in devotional service, even though sometimes we feel offended, sometimes we offend others, and sometimes, that's what's going on. We're offended and we offend others, That's kind of sums it up. And then we're disappointed, we don't get what we want, but despite of that, then if we continue, and it's very tough to overcome this. The verse before this that we're reading from, it says, Vitaraka bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashrita bahavo jnanatapasa puda mat bhavam agataha. And Prabhupada, he gives a long purport, which is very interesting. And Krishna, he says that many people in the past, they came to him giving up attachment, fear, and anger. These things. Attachment, we don't get what we want. We're afraid of losing what we have. We fear, we are afraid of getting offended, because so many broken relationships, we at the end of our human kind of experience, we become very angry and frustrated because we just give it all up. So a person, that is the process of dharma, actually, following dharma. If it's a bona fide process, it should actually teach us how to give up attachment, fear, and anger. And there we get introspection, because we can test and we can see how our progress is going. Of course, in the beginning, when you clean the heart, it can get very dirty, or like you're cleaning a room, it can become very dusty. But over time, you will also feel a change. And there's not so much left in this Kali Yuga. Honesty is basically, that's what's left. So if we honestly can look into our heart, then we can see if there's a change. And people, they're doing so many different things, but because they're not honest, then also they can't be honest about any good thing they're doing in their life, really, less at least. And because they don't really have any faith, they're not expecting any change. I mean, I had that realization myself over the years when I joined. I really expected, I really believed, it will make a change. And so I surrendered, which meant going out, collecting, distributing books. But then I was so disappointed, because then what I thought that I'd given up, attachments, that it would still be there. Yes? And I became disappointed. But basically it was very naive, because I had been in the material world for 1,000 lifetimes, 1,000,000 lifetimes, and that initial happiness you experience in devotional service, you want that to last, isn't it? The feeling of happiness and bliss that you experience, you want it to last. But it's something which is given to us because we have some genuine contact with Krishna and the process of devotional service. But then because of our billions and millions or whatever material desires, then it's difficult to maintain that. Yes. And then it creeps back in, and then we become disappointed. But it is possible. It's just we have to be patient. We have to continue, like anything else we do in our life. I became a grihasta after, I left the temple. I got married, and I found out, man, that is difficult. That is very difficult. Because now it's not just my mind and my false ego and my senses, which is kind of here. That I can okay, it's easy, but now it's like there and there and there. Impossible to control. Impossible. So, but it's possible. It is difficult, but it is possible. We just have to apply patience. And then we have to take help, like when they do these, where you can win 1 million, yes? You get a lifeline, and you can call someone, or is that a lifeline, or you have something? You have 3 lifelines, yes?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, yeah, can't remember. So we also have lifelines, yes? And the best lifeline, it is to be with devotees. That is the best lifeline. Because there you can recharge. Our problem in our life is that we commit offenses against devotees. We commit offense to Krishna and his name while chanting, and we commit offenses to other living entities. And then we lose taste. And it's very difficult when we don't have taste, it's very difficult to chant Hare Krishna. It's very difficult to read because it's just cleaning the heart, and it's just tough. It's very difficult. I remember sometimes when I didn't read Bhagavad-gītā in my life, periods, and I picked it up, and then I would just read Prabhupada speaking about all the things that I knew I had a problem with. So, and it was just too difficult, so I just had to put it down again. But didn't have to, but I did. But the real thing is actually to have devotee association. Because when we feel we have a problem with devotees, then when we get together with the devotees and we spend time with the devotees, then suddenly we get a different perspective. Yeah, because they're persons. Because a person is not a static thing. It's not that I perceived him like this last week. Someone's calling. I perceived him like this last week. But a person is not static. So there's the aspect of love. That is why in a devotee community, we have to understand the principles, and that is we render service. There's 6 processes of exchanging with devotees, which is very important, and that is to inquire submissively, and 2, you have to help me here. It's and listen, but open your mind in confidence, isn't it? And then giving gifts and receiving gifts and giving prasadam and also accepting prasadam. That means not just prasadam, but it means mercy. Yes. I'm so happy that Oscar here, we're living together for so many years. My wife is also very happy. I'm surrounded by devotees, yes. It's quite amazing, and we live right nearby here. I remember Lalitanand, I told him 12 years ago, I'm moving here, I came from Oslo. And he was very happy, and I'm very happy. Because when you're nearby devotees, nearby the temple, it's easy. I'm sure some of you live further away, some live far away, so they can't come so often. So that is a problem. In our life, it's so easy to get caught up in so many things, especially nowadays, that we have, many of you, you Indians, you came here from far away, you settled down here, you are luckily, you have good education. I don't have any education. My education is, I met devotees. That's my education. And in the material life, we meet so much frustration. As I said to begin with, I said that it's Kali Yuga, religion, and science has been hijacked by atheism, yes? So there's atheism everywhere. In religion, we call it impersonalism. It comes out like that. Actually, this verse here, you don't see it. Can we get it up? It's actually not so important. It says, because I can just speak it out to you, I see it. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. It makes sense, huh? It's nice. Some reciprocation, yes? But then Krishna, he says, everyone follows my path in all respects. So actually, there's a class of philosophers, impersonalists in India. They like this verse. Yes, you know? Someone knows, someone I don't see, maybe because of my glass up there. Why do they like this verse? Why they like this verse, the impersonalists? Any good guess?
All path leads us to Krishna.
No, it doesn't say that, but
That's what they interpret.
everyone follows my path in all respects, yes. So they think anything you do, you will go the same place. But of course, it's not the intention of the verse. That's not what it means. Oh, that's what he said. Okay. Then Prabhupada, I think he was one of them when he said, I'll urinate in his face. That he was one of them, yes? So of course, Krishna, he doesn't mean that everyone follows Krishna's path and we go, whatever you do. That's not the meaning of this verse. The meaning is that Krishna has made it in such a way, this material universe, that any desire we want, we can get fulfilled. But it doesn't mean that it leads to the same. We're not impersonalist. Impersonalist philosophy would be something that everything belongs to God, isn't it? God, He has created this universe, yes? So everything in this universe, it belongs to God, yes? Correct? Yes? So there's money, so also money belongs to God, isn't it? Everything belongs to God. Lakshmi, yes? So you have money in your pocket, you have money in your pocket. You have money in your pocket. So it doesn't mean that, money in your pocket, that, I can just take it and put it in another pocket. It belongs to God. No, it's not like that. Impersonalism is like a very subtle, like not when the priest said, doubt is the foundation in my whatever life, that's just atheism. It's just nonsense. But impersonalism in India, it's very subtle. It's a symptom of Kali Yuga. It's everywhere, and unfortunately, it's a great stumbling block for. Not for me, actually, because when I joined ISKCON, I had no concept of spiritual life. So all my spiritual teachings, I learned from reading Prabhupada's books. And it was, sheet was blank, Nothing was in there. And maybe that was first time I came to the temple, I didn't understand anything, But slowly, you start filling in. But the problem is, for me, of course, I have material desires, yes. People from India, they don't have so many material desires. Not like that. They're very generous, they're very well-behaved, very nice. One problem in India is that you have this luggage with you, package, yes, that you were introduced to all kinds of philosophies. It's widely accepted that, you can go to this temple, this temple. Variety is nice. Yeah, it's good. Variety is very nice. But it's a fact that if you want to make advancement in devotional service, you have to hear from the right person. It's very important. And that means you have to shut off the noise, turn off the noise, and then turn up. Like I could go home now and I could listen to Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, or the Beatles. And I don't think you would be so attracted to that, yes? But there's this very subtle thing, impersonalism, which is kind of everywhere, but in India it is very widespread, and it actually comes from the time of course, Lord Buddha. It comes from the time of Shankaracharya, but it also was very much encouraged by the British, because when the British, they came to India, they were looking at people and how things were, Indians and Indian society being subjected to 800 years of, 600-700 years of Muslim, subjugation or invasion, that it was, it seemed kind of poor, maybe a little chaotic, dirty, like that. But when the British saw the Vedas, they started learning about the Vedic scriptures. They were shocked because it was far more advanced than any other language that come upon. And so they, in order to kind of make up for that, because the material world, it's full of cheaters. It's full of cheaters, basically. And they came up with the stupid philosophy of the Aryan invasion, where they said that the Aryans were a group of nomads that invaded India from somewhere, and then after invading India, it was a nomad tribe. Doesn't make sense. They would have an advanced language, but that was the philosophy or the idea. That's what they teach you in university, in Indology. They teach you about the Aryan invasion, that it came from somewhere else, then they left it there, and then they went to Europe. They settled down in Greece and Rome. But of course, this is the British, they encourage very much in India, they encourage very much a cover-up of the actual intention of the Vedas, which is to worship Krishna, which is to surrender, the path of devotion, the path of bhakti. So they encourage that very much. So people who were influenced, I don't know about Vivekananda, I don't know his whole history, but these people, also politicians, during the time of when the British, they left, they were also very much influenced by impersonalism. So actually the big difference we see now in India, that now you can see that the old British names, like Madras is now Chennai, Gurugram is now, it was Gurgaon, it's now Gurugram. So they're changing this old, actually many of the things that was introduced by the British, yes, and all for good purpose. Also Prime Minister Modi, he says, now it is Bharat, yes, and it has actually changed. Jai Shri Shri Gonitai Ki Jai. So there's obstacles in devotional service, and there's obstacles in devotional service, but what we can do is that we can take time and we can actually take more time to perform devotional service. That is the solution. We may be here to also make, to provide for a family. We are here to ensure our future. We are here to get some education. Yes? I just had a full-time job for a few weeks, and I just see how difficult it is to actually have any time or energy to do anything else but that. Yes? It is so energy consuming, so time consuming. And we worry about the future. We worry about so many things. And we are encouraged to work like asses. Yes? Which is actually working 37, it doesn't seem like all the hours we have in a week, but we actually don't have much time. We don't have much energy, and we don't have time at all. This job I had for a couple of weeks. I was working at the work. One guy, he had a stroke of some kind, and he just died at work, yes. So time is, what is that?
Time is over.
Oh,